I'd like to introduce our keynote speaker for the day, Brandi Boatner. Brandi is the social and influencer communications lead of global markets at IBM. She's had a very impressive communications career at IBM for almost a decade. We are excited to have her speak today on topics such as a brand's reputation, authenticity, and among others. Everyone, please give a round of applause for Brandi.
Well, good morning, everybody. No, that sounds pretty weak. And I'm a person, I like to move around, so I feel so official standing at the podium, like I have all these things to say. Let's try that again. Good morning. Good morning. Much better. I know there's like food and you guys had to have coffee, and who wouldn't like this view? So the side over here that was like morning, like come on. We're all here because we are excited to be in this profession. Are we not excited for social good and plugging into social good? Are we not? Is that why you're here? Who just came here for free food? Who just came here for free food? All right, at least you guys are honest. Who came here to maybe learn something? Okay, so some people who came here to see me. Oh, thank you. Thank you guys. Thank you so much. No, so it's really an honor for me to be the keynote. When I was asked, Megan asked me, I said, wait, no, you guys have like celebrities or you have like business owners, you have like really well-established people keynote this conference. And she said, Brandi, you're like a well-established person. I'm like, oh wait, yeah, I am. I'm one of those people. So I am excited, very excited to be here. And hopefully in the next few minutes, you guys take some things away. So as I said, there are celebrities that have keynoted this conference before, that have been kind of to set the stage and open up. And I would like to affectionately call myself the Beyonce of the business world. And I think you all should also call me the Beyonce of the business world. And I mean, look at this caricature. Come on, is she not cute? She is really cute. A colleague of mine did this rendering of Brandi because I do a workshop called Branding with Brandi. It's a little bit of like Wendy Williams before her divorce, because we all know where she is today. So this is before that, mixed in with a little Dr. Phil and Deepak Chopra. So this is what he got when I told him, this is what I do. But that's really me, like my cell phone in my hand, that's like really me. So for those of you who don't know me, again, please tweet, write, the Beyonce of the business world says, because I'm hoping the queen will see it, and she'll be like, who is this Beyonce of the business world? And she'll ask me to babysit the twins. But if you can see here, this is just a little bit about me. Christina kind of gave my very long title, but I'm a child of PRSA and PRSSA. I've known Leslie a very, very long time. Leslie's known me probably since I was in college. And I want you all to really take the advice she gave as to why you should join PRSA. I am also on the board of PRSA Westchester Fairfield. Big up to Westchester. Woo-hoo! Okay, nobody? Wow, you guys all live in Brooklyn? I got like 2 claps for Westchester. It is literally, you guys, it's not upstate. That's Albany. It's literally 20 miles away. So being a member of PRSA, I wouldn't be in this field, it wouldn't be my career if it wasn't for PRSSA and PRSA. So I just want you all to really listen to what Leslie said and join. If you guys want to join Westchester Fairfield, you don't have to live in Westchester Fairfield to join our chapter. If you want to hang out with me and some other cool people, join our chapter. But this is just, again, some credentials about me. I am a 2-time Hall of Fame award winner. Now, I have to say this, like, for those of you who like sports, usually like Hall of Fame is like at the end of your career when you're like old, your knees are like bad, and it's like time to like retire. Hello, Eli Manning. Anybody? It's time. It's time. But the Hall of Fame, I'm in the PRSSA Hall of Fame, and then recently in May, I was inducted into the Loyola University Hall of Fame and the youngest member in that Hall of Fame. And thank you. That is not because I'm old, because as you guys can see, I'm very young, and you see the Beyonce here, but because of the work I've done, right? The work I've done. And so today, I want to share with you all some thoughts. Like I said, I do branding with Brandi, so this is very like rooted in branding. This is very rooted in why now is such a good time to, and I'm going to say take a stand, but it's not, because brands have been doing this for a really long time, but we're at this tipping point. How many Lizzo fans do I have in the room? Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you should raise your hands too. She's talking to y'all. Why men great till they gotta be, right? She's talking to y'all. Lizzo is so popular because she has literally touched a nerve right now with the times. Like, if I just like walk out of my, like, there's a Lizzo soundtrack in my head. There's been one for a long time before she came up, but like, literally, how many of you like walk out of your, like, you're like, I feel good as hell. Right now, I feel good as hell. Got my hair done, check my, you guys know that, right? Right? Well, she's at a time where we need to hear this message. So for today's conference, again, I'm gonna set the stage. I want you all to think about what I'm going to tell you. I want you to think about doing good or plugging into social good. But I ask you to do two things for me. One, I want you to think about yourself as a brand. So I'm going to talk about brands, like companies, but I'm also going to talk about you as a brand. Say, well, Brandi, I'm not a brand. Oh, but you are. You guys can see my brand here, the Beyonce of the business world, but you are a brand too. So I want you to think about yourself as a brand. So that's the first thing I want you to do. And then second, I want you to think about a time you stood up or did not stand up for something, right? And this is just like personal reflection. Again, we can do the Wendy Williams, I can sit down, we can talk about it, if you felt like, you should have said something, but just think about a time where you either stood up or you didn't stand up, for what you believed in. So just two things I want you all to do. It's a very interesting quote here from Ed Bernays. All the PR people in the room, you guys know who Ed Bernays is. I hope you do, even if you don't, just say that you do, because you're in PR, right? Just say yes, of course. Ed Bernays had a really amazing quote that this is in 1928, and this still holds true today, which I think just shows you how classic and the enduring spirit of PR in the 20s still relates. We're going into 2020, guys. This is like almost 100 years ago. But he said in almost every act of our daily lives, they're in the sphere of politics or business, social conduct, ethical, and I'm trying to read like, otherwise I'm gonna fall off the stage, are dominated by the relatively small number of persons. Do you guys think this is still true?
Oh, yes.
This is still very true. Hello, Twitter. Right? Hello, social media. And this is long before social media. So what does this mean? What does it mean what he said? Well, think about what we do for a living. There's a relatively small number of people that are dominating politics, business. They're dominating what we do and why we do it. So getting into like brand, well, what does that mean for social good? So I kind of borrowed this slide from, I don't know if any of you know, one of my mentors, as you talk about mentorship, John Iwata. He worked at IBM for a very long time, 34 years. He was our CMO, CCO, and then he kind of left being our chief brand officer. And he loved to use this quote from Abraham Lincoln. I don't know how many of you have seen this. You might have, like, if you've ever seen John present, he definitely has talked about this quote. And when I see this Abraham Lincoln, like I said, he uses this a lot, so I don't want to, say, oh, this is my inventive thinking, and so I'm probably going to have to, so I can read things. Can you guys still hear me? Can you still hear me? Okay. Because I'm going to fall off the stage, I'm literally going to fall on his lap, and that's just not a good look. Not a good look. So, character is the tree, reputation is the shadow. The shadow is what we think of it, the tree is the real thing, right? So that's what Abraham Lincoln said. But here's what's interesting for us. When it comes to the brand, you and the organization, right? Many companies believe that their job is to manage the shadow rather than to tend to the health of the tree. You guys think about it? Manage the shadow rather than the tree. So a company's reputation today, October 16th, has never been more vulnerable thanks to our good friends, social media. You guys know a 16-year-old in this basement in New Jersey, and no offense to New Jersey, lovely state, if you're into it. A 16-year-old in this basement in New Jersey can take down, again, no offense, Jersey, love you, can take down a brand in like minutes. Minutes. Sitting just like, oh, I'm bored. I want to like take down Cheesecake Factory. I'm going to say that I like saw like a mouse or saw a rat or something. You know what I'm saying? Like you can take down a brand so quickly because we're vulnerable. Brands are vulnerable. We as individual brands are vulnerable. How many of you see somebody on Instagram who is literally living like not only their best life, but like 10 other people's best life? Don't lie, y'all see them. Y'all see them. You know what's interesting? The picture only tells one part of the story. And like some of them like crop out things and you're like, oh wait, so you didn't really do that? Anybody saw like the Bow Wow standing in front of like a private jet when he was actually flying economy in like Spirit? We all know what that means. So again, the picture only tells one part of the story. So reputation is really the most powerful non-physical asset we have and brands have. You all have to think about that. So there's this new phenomenon where the brand and reputation are like this, right? They are in like literally linked up. And sometimes people have trouble separating those. And sometimes people think the brand and the company, the reputation is all one, but they need to be separate. So let's look at some examples. Back to what I said. You are a brand. This was a cover of Fast Company several years ago. The brand called you. What brand is in the background of that picture? Tide, right? I don't need to say it's Tide, but you guys know, like, the brand picture, right? So imagine you are Tide, right? You're known for various things. I grew up in a Tide household. Who grew up in a Tide household? I did too. Whenever I see Gain, I feel like I'm somehow betraying my mother if I buy Gain. I'm like, oh, my mom, we never use Gain. Like, is Gain gonna kill me? I feel like it will, because I grew up in a Tide household. If anybody grew up in a Coke household, who grew up in a Coke household? Right? How do you feel when you drink Pepsi? Do you feel like you shame the family? I do. Or you go to a restaurant and they're like, ooh, we only have Pepsi. I'm like, get up, get your stuff out. I can't be here. You don't serve Sprite? Sierra Mist. Who drinks Sierra Mist anyway? Sorry again, Pepsi. This is no knock on you, just like New Jersey. Sorry. But you are a brand, right? And oftentimes our brand is not what we sell or what we do, but what other people make of us, right? That's your brand. That's really your brand. When you are the brand, you have to think, am I a good digital citizen? Do I show up online conversations the right way? When I go to events, do I show up the right way at events? You have to think about you as the brand and the reputation that you have. Is it good? Is it bad? Do people know what you stand for? Do people know what you believe in? So just again, two things, think differently with you as a brand, right? So let's talk about keeping a spotless reputation. Some of these images up here, do you guys recognize some of these images? So let's talk about them. Let's unpack this. Love when people say, let's unpack this. Let's unpack. So Subway. Who here eats at Subway today? I eat Subway, right? So you guys remember when Jared was like all the rage? He was like the spokesperson for Subway. And maybe some of you are like young and maybe you don't remember. And that's okay, like I'm not that old either. But so Jared was the spokesperson for Subway. He lost a ton of weight eating Subway sandwiches. Now I'm sure he like worked out and stuff, but he didn't talk about that. But he ate Subway, right? So everyone was like, oh, Jared, he became the face of Subway. They would have him in every Subway you would go to. And then a funny thing happened to Jared. Someone found kitty porn on his computer. It's like, oh my gosh, wait a minute. The guy who is literally lost all this weight for Subway is like into child pornography? How do those things? So Subway had a real reputation crisis, right? They had to get rid of him as a spokesperson. They had to convince people, we don't condone child pornography. They had to make sure that their sales didn't dip. I mean, there's so many things that happen when you have a bad reputation. Now I'm gonna ask the question again. How many of you eat at Subway? I'm gonna raise my hand, I do. After a certain number of years, I was like, well, he's like in jail, which he is. And I just felt like I really want a tuna sub with white American cheese, light lettuce, because they overdo it. Oh my God. With salt and pepper. I really wanted one. And so I went to Subway, right? Does that mean I'm like, oh, child? No. But the brand bounced back. Now, a brand that has not bounced back, Papa John's. Anybody here still eat Papa John's? If you do, we're not friends. We're not friends. No. So in the pizza wars, Domino's, Pizza Hut, Papa John's. I liked Papa John's pizza. That was like I love the garlic sauce. I love the nacho cheese. I love Papa John's. But as a woman of color who eats Papa John's pizza, and then I hear that Papa is in a meeting dropping N-bombs, I'm like, I don't know if I want to keep eating Papa John's. Hello, Domino's. Can you deliver? I don't really like your ingredients, but I'll do it. But Papa John is the brand, right? He is Papa. How do you separate this racist, and I'm sorry he's racist, because that's what it is, How do you separate him from the pizza? Now, we know the pizza's not racist, at least I hope not. But like, how do you separate the two? Because the brand and Papa became one, right? Right? Gotta separate. So, bad reputation. Any Kendall Jenner fans? Not Kylie, I wear her products too. Kendall, anybody like Kendall? She's the other sister. The older sister, she's the other one. She's the one that doesn't have a baby. She's like the only one that doesn't have a baby of the Kardashians. You guys remember what happened to poor Kendall? She was just trying to, what I told you about Pepsi. I'll mess with Pepsi. Long before this, but you guys remember what happened to poor Kendall? She tried to give a cop a Pepsi. Because it makes, everybody knows when people are getting shot, killed, beaten, give somebody a Pepsi and everything's gonna be better. Especially if you black. Get a Pepsi, right? What happened to poor Kendall? What happened here? Who in the room at Pepsi let this ad leave the room? What happened, right? How do you take this knock on the brand, your reputation? What happened to these people at Pepsi? I like to think smart people work at Pepsi, but you have to be careful with, again, what you are portraying, what you sell, because look at this stat, people. 60% of what people, the perceptions of the company versus 40% of what the company actually sells. So it's not even like what they actually do, it's what we think they do, which is why we like the brand, right? Poor Kendall, I felt really bad for her. You guys remember the poor doctor getting drug off the plane?
Oh yeah, that was like...
What, like, again, what? How did this happen? That man had like stitches, he was bleeding. Like, how does this happen? I can barely get enough leg room on the flight, much less get dragged, you know what I'm saying? But I'm big, you don't have to get a couple people to drag you off. But this was awful that happened to this man, right? So, in the age of the customer, you have to keep a spotless reputation. Guys, this goes also to your personal brand. These young men and women who are on Instagram, who are showing just a little too much of their life, you have to think about this just like a brand would think about it, because you are a brand. And I like this quote here from Benjamin Franklin that says, it takes many good deeds to build a good reputation and only one bad. Only one bad, that's it. You can do a million great things, one bad thing, take you down, right? So, I remember this. I know you young people, that's Tom Cruise. What movie is this from? What was the premise of the movie? Why is he in his drawers in the living room? His parents are gone. And you know what kids do? At least back then, what kids do when their parents are gone? They hire a bunch of hookers.
Prostitution.
That's what he did. He was a young entrepreneur, getting a bunch of hookers in and out of his parents' house, right? Well, if you look at him, he's just really excited. He's singing in his underwear. Everyone knows the song he's singing. But the movie's called Risky Business because, you know, I don't know, running like a prostitution ring out of your parents' home is risky business.
Really?
There's risk involved there. First of all, it's illegal. It's illegal. But the point is, what I showed you about spotless reputation, the brands, all of this, doing social good, and we'll get there, this is all risky business. Everybody recognize this? And honestly, I'm not here to talk about this, regardless if you are on the side of Kaepernick or NFL, Jay-Z, whatever. I'm not here to, do pros and cons. What I'm here to say is Nike sales, like, quadruple, quintuple, like, went up. I can't even tell you how much, right? And this is the ad. Believe in something, even if it means sacrificing everything. And everyone's like, Nike, they really stepped up to the challenge. They're doing social good. They're making a stand. Nike is making a stand. Do you guys really think that this is new? Who thought this was new? I can tell you, like, my mom was like, I'm so proud of Nike. And I'm like, really, girl? People have been doing this for a long time. You named me Brandi because I know brands. But really, do you all think this is new? This is not new. This is not a new concept. So let's talk about Dove, the real beauty campaign. 2004, so that was 15 years ago. Some of you in here were like 4. But 15 years ago, does anybody remember the original Dove beauty campaign? So that's on this side, on the right side. So they showed how a woman got all kind of makeup and photoshopped and what have you, and that's what we call real beauty. And that's not real beauty because that's not what she really looks like. There's a whole campaign around real beauty, and then it kind of evolved in having women talk about themselves and how they saw themselves. And if you all have seen the Dove and the evolution of this campaign, I cried. Because at that time, women were describing themselves in a way that just, they didn't look like that. Because they didn't feel good about themselves, or they didn't think they were beautiful. They would get this picture, this almost like grotesque character, because that's how they described to the person who's drawing a picture of them, who couldn't see them, what they looked like. So that was really controversial 15 years ago. So brands have not, this did not, I don't want people to be like, now is the time. It's been the time. 15 years ago was the time. 20 years ago was the time. Before y'all were born was the time. Okay? This is not a new concept. But when you look at the Dove campaign, when you think about Nike, I know Gillette did something about like boys being men, and when you think about all those things, when you take a stand and you decide it's the new shiny penny to be doing good, there is good washing backlash. There is when you do that. So I kept Dove up. Now please understand, these brands, this is all personal opinion of Brandi Boatner. I don't represent anybody from Dove. I'm sure they're a client. I don't work with them. This is just, again, this is what is, right? This is my opinion of, what is. So with Dove, they, beautiful campaign. Great, wonderful campaign, right? Anybody remember the backlash their good washing got them? And it was a few years after, like, I'll probably say, so 2004 was the original, and then it evolved. They did another one in 2007, 2010, like every 3 years they did. But after 2010, they started getting some backlash. Anybody know why that is? And I have kind of the ad up here. Yes, sir.
They had some ads that looked racist, that suggested that if you wash hard enough, you'd look whiter.
So yes, if you wash hard enough, you'll be whiter. As if being white is the thing. Last I checked, being brown was the thing. But yes, right? So that's one thing. Anybody Axe deodorant for the gentleman? So Dove is owned by Unilever?
Yes.
Unilever has a bunch of brands, like Procter & Gamble has a bunch of brands. And here's what somebody said. A reporter. Gotta love our media. Oh, love our journalists. A reporter said, well, how are we talking about beauty when Axe is like, objectifying women with their ads? And they had very racy, very suggestive, very misogynistic ads for Axe. So here's one of them. Lose the flakes, get the girls. Now, let's unpack this. Okay. First of all, ladies in the room, have you ever found yourself saying, God, I really want a boyfriend who wears Axe? I mean, if he could just smell like Axe, it is on like Donkey Kong. How many people have said that? Oh, nobody? Okay, cool. So fellas in the room, how many of you raced out to your local Walgreens, Walmart, Target, CVS to get Axe deodorant because you knew it was going to get you girls? Fellas? Anybody? Men? Anybody? Any of y'all?
When I was younger,
Oh, you did? How many girls you got when you were young? You cute. How many girls you got? Not that many? Okay, because Axe wasn't doing it for you. Why was this the ad that is, again, if you, going back to what I said, what people perceive, do we really think Matthew McConaughey drives a Lincoln? That man don't drive no Lincoln. I don't think he drives at all. Why would this get backlash? Because you can't promote beauty on one hand and then objectify women on the other. So honestly, from 2010, now look, the Dove campaign is still going on, but it has not received the height of influence and the reputation it once had because Axe destroyed that. Right? It literally destroyed that. But hey, I mean, if you guys want to put on deodorant and think that's the best for you, great. But what we do as PR people, marketing, communications professionals, right? We have to look at being fully integrated into reputation management. So that's brand management, that's reputation, that's PR, that's crisis, that's all of it, right? Because companies have to anticipate something is going to happen. You guys have heard the saying, not if, when. It's not if I get hacked, or if. It's when this happens. Am I ready for this when this happens? And so I truly believe, I've said this, some people have kind of questioned me on it. I welcome you guys to challenge me on it, but I truly, truly believe this statement. For a new generation of leaders who are marketing and communications professionals working at the intersection of strategy, creativity, and technology, your biggest business challenge is tomorrow. That is your biggest challenge. Anybody here know what's going to happen tomorrow? And I don't mean like going to get my hair cut, dinner with like the boo. I don't mean that. Anybody know what's going to happen tomorrow? Anybody know what 45 is going to tweet tomorrow? I'm just saying. Anybody? I don't think he knows, but anybody? Right? Anybody know what's going to happen with Syria? Anybody knows what's going to happen here in New York? Does anybody know? Any Nostradamus in the house? Anybody? Anybody know what's going to happen tomorrow? No. That is your biggest challenge. And we as communications professionals, we find this every day. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't. But we have to be ready. We have to be ready for it. What if the brand takes a hit? What if somebody finds child pornography? What if somebody has a scandal? You guys know that happens every day. Every single day. So we have to be ready. What does that mean? I want to use this example. This is a personal. This means so much to me personally. As a personal example of a brand that took a stand, but in a way, the way they took the stand, just, oh, I love this. I hope you guys embrace this, but this is really a use case in a brand having a backbone. And that's kind of part of this opening keynote. And as you go through the rest of the day, think about this. Brands who have backbone, who take a stand in the way that they take a stand. Who here likes cereal? Who eats cereal in the morning? Most of us? Yep. General Mills. You guys eat a General Mills cereal? Anybody? I'm a fan. Cheerios? Yes. Michael, yes. All right. So General Mills has been around for 150 years. So you're talking, this is a legendary brand, right? 150 years, a long time. You guys remember what happened in 2013 with a certain Cheerios commercial? Anybody remember?
Interracial couple.
Interracial couple. I love you.
I love you too.
Awesome. Awesome. And that's why it matters to me. My grandma's white. My mom's biracial, multiracial, whatever you want to call it. Have a whole white side of the family. So the little girl, she was so cute. Curly hair, multiracial child. She was reading that Cheerios helps heart disease. If you guys remember, she went and put all the Cheerios on her dad while he was sleeping on his heart to make sure her dad have a good heart. It was so cute. And the guy wakes up, he's got all the Cheerios, like autumn, he's like, Cheryl? Like, why do I have all the Cheerios, right? Did you guys remember that commercial? Anybody see that commercial? Do you know how much negativity and backlash Cheerios got for that commercial? People wrote the most awful things. And that was a child, right? That was a little girl. She was like, what, 6, 7? People went on their Facebook page, and when I tell you guys nasty comments, I'm not saying like, oh, we shouldn't mix races. No, they said awful things. Awful, awful things. And again, because we live in a digital age, because of the internet, all this, whatever thought comes to somebody's mind, they just go and just write it, right? We all know the internet was invented for 2 reasons. For people to complain, we all know that, and for pornography. Those are 2 reasons that we have the internet. But because people complain and people just say anything, General Mills went through, and they went through all on Facebook, on Twitter. I mean, Black Twitter went crazy. All kinds of people were saying awful things about a commercial with a little girl who happened to be biracial, trying to protect her dad with cereal. Okay, this is 2013, so guys, don't think that was 7 years ago. People still say some awful things today too on Twitter and Facebook, right? General Mills looked at this, they were like, wow, this is awful. But this is the values and the purpose of General Mills, and I put that up here, and again, I personally feel invested in this story. They say, we serve the world by making food people love, cereal. That is their mission. That's their whole purpose. We serve the world making food people love. You can see here their pursuits: put people first, build a culture of creating, make food with passion, earn people's trust, and treat the world with care. This is their brand mission, their brand voice. So you know what General Mills did in 2014? Anybody know? So they got a ton of backlash, negativity, Biracial, so they pulled the commercial, just so you guys know, they pulled it. Just because it was just too much. So they pulled the commercial, so you didn't see it. You didn't see the little girl for a while, right? 2014, February comes around, Super Bowl. They buy a 30-second ad. Now you see the mom, the dad, the kid, they went all in. All in. I was like, yeah, show the love. And guess what? The little girl says, I'm going to get a brother. So the woman's pregnant. So there's going to be 2 biracial kids. Right? That's amazing. Amazing. And you know what they said. So this is a statement from General Mills. They sent a message that says, our brand includes not only the food product, but people inclusiveness without borders along the ethnic barriers of the past. And they said, we were really willing to take a $4 million risk. That's how much it costs for a 30-second spot in the Super Bowl. It's a little bit more, 4 or 5 million. We were willing to take a $4 million risk because that's who we are. We were risky business. We were willing to take because we believe that everybody should be inclusive for barriers of the past. This is not 1952, and trust me, interracial marriage was illegal. Anybody saw Love It? It was illegal, 1967. That's not that long ago. Not that long ago, right? General Mills went all in, shoved it to all the haters, had the huge Super Bowl main stage, and they said it was worth the risk. They took the risk. Why? Because this is who they are. These are their values. They did not stray away from this. Where we get in trouble, and where brands get in trouble, is when the gap with your brand promise does not align with who you are. You guys, that's the same for an individual. When you get too far away from who you were, have anybody ever heard someone say, you know, if your grandma saw you, she would be so disappointed. If your mom saw you, she would be so disappointed. You guys have to think about that because you're representing the family, representing, you know, your town or where you're from. Something I find very interesting, who here is not from the U.S.? A lot of you are not from the U.S. What country? Yes. Peru. Let's just use Peru. One thing I find very interesting about people who are not from the U.S., you guys rep hard for your country. I mean, like, hard. Hard H, right? I bet you have a Peruvian flag. I bet you know all the Peruvian spots. I bet, like, you rep hard for your country, don't you? Wonderful. I find that so interesting. You know why? Because Peru is who you are and you are Peru. I cannot tell you that I rep hard for America because right now I'm embarrassed. I am truly embarrassed to be American. Now, I am from Louisiana, born and raised. I'll rep hard for Louisiana. We the last in education. I'll take it. We beat Alabama. I'll take it. I rep hard for Louisiana. But like, we're like literally the epicenter of corruption. When New Jersey had that little corruption with the Ford-Lee Bridge, I was like, shh, that's Tuesday in Louisiana. Like, I will rep hard for Louisiana, but I don't have that country because I don't feel a sense of what my values are represented in my country's values right now. I don't feel that way. I don't. So when I see people from other countries, I'm like, tell me what it's like. Can I be Peruvian for a day? Let me be with you for Peru because you just rep hard. I find that for a lot of different countries, but we see this gap that happens. And I want, as we look at the gap, the way to kind of combat that is this term called brand resilience. And I really think that brand resilience is the new reputation management. I think we've evolved. You've heard reputation management. I've showed you guys keeping a spotless reputation, what happens when brands take a stand, take that risk, make that investment. But how likely is the brand to bounce back? Or how resilient is the brand? So I truly believe in brand resiliency. And what that means, like I said, when the gap between the brand promise and the brand experience widens, so it's literally like not the same, brands are more susceptible to breaches that violate trust, like the Pepsi incident, like dragging the doctor off the plane. And customers, they form brand impressions that are incongruent because the values and the images don't add up, right? They just don't add up. So you say, oh, all right, how do I close that gap, right? So plugging into social good, us kind of, I want to say taking a stand, but doing what's right and honoring your values, like General Mills did, is to create a sense of belonging, where people recognize themselves, they feel understood, and they believe that they own just a little bit of your brand narrative, right? A lot of brands get caught up when they, again, take the shiny new penny and say, yeah, we're taking a stand. We believe in gender equality. Well, then why is your entire board men? Why is your entire board white men? But you believe in gender equality? Tisk. I don't think so. Has anybody ever seen a brand say, they come out with some position, then you pull the covers back and you're like, wait, we think there should be more black people in corporate America. Wonderful. Who on your board's black? No black? Oh, okay. Well, we can't find them. You can't find? Oh, we support the dreamers. We support Hispanics in America. Really? Do you know anybody who's Hispanic? No? Okay, great. It doesn't add up, right? It does not add up. So, how do we combat this? You can do this by speaking out on issues that customers care about, and then you can practice brand. This is the definition of brand resilience, right? The ability of the brand experience to live up and remain consistent with the brand promise, maintaining its integrity, even in the face of damaging interactions, events, or circumstances. That is what General Mills. You guys, General Mills did not have to come back full force with the commercial that they did. They could have just been like, well, we pulled it was negative, we moved on. But they had something to say. And what they had to say is, we care about the world. We don't care what you look like, right? And there are kids out here who have multiracial parents. That is the America. You know why? Because people could see themselves in the Cheerios commercial. I love commercials. I love experiences where I can see myself in that experience, right? I can't see myself. There are some like reality shows. There are some, I just can't see myself there. Duck Dynasty, that's in Louisiana. Again, I rep hard. That's not my life. The beard, the guns, that's not my life, right? So I can't see myself in that. Who here likes to see themselves in either things that they buy or things you watch? And to see yourself represented, right? It's inherently what makes us us, right? Again, the plugging into social good and what that means. So we, as PR professionals, can help shape and lead brand resilience. We can do this. We can lead this. We can usher this in. I promise you we can. As the new strategic imperative for reputation management among organizations and clients. So as you all are hearing from the different speakers today, as you're listening from, design to how the news media is changing, to agency, to Me Too, to all of that, think about how we're going to usher in this new imperative of brand resilience. I want you to think about that. Should your brand take a stand? And that's you individually as a brand and an organization that you work at or that you represent. Should you guys take a stand? Of course you guys are like, yes, you should. But before you say yes, don't do the shiny penny, right? I want you all to be very strategic and thoughtful. Don't just do it because you're here, it's the right thing to do, gives you the warm fight. Yeah, all that. But really be strategic. So these 4 things I want to leave you with as to should your brand, your personal brand or your organizational brand take a stand? Should you? 1, be your brand voice. Don't be out here saying one thing and you do something else. Remember the values of the brand, your brand personally, organization. Make sure they align through every single thing you do. Every touch point, every interaction, everything you do. Make sure you are the brand voice. Again, individually and for the organization. 2, perception is reality. What people perceive, that's to be their reality, right? Company and individual performance is now reliant on positive perception. How you are perceived. Drive influence around a topic you stand for. You guys, if you don't believe in like hybrid cars or fuel efficient cars, don't be like, I support Toyota hybrids, but you don't believe in that. Don't just latch on to a topic because someone else, but you personally don't believe them, right? Perception is reality. Number 3, practice brand resilience. What did I just say? We are in an amazing position as communications professionals to literally bring this in as strategic imperative. Every campaign, company, individual should say, you know what? What's our brand resilience framework? To make sure if anything, when something happens, not crisis, when something happens, we're ready. And we can bounce back. Because our values say, just like General Mills, our values say, this is who we are, this is what we stand for. Embrace the nuances and eccentricities that your brand has. That's a good thing. That's it. Embrace. If you think, you know, if people are like, oh, I'm so extra, I'm weird. I'm a lot to deal with. Like, I'm a lot to take. I know this. That's probably why I'm single and bitter here in Manhattan. But if you don't, like, if I'm not your cup of tea, great, go drink some Coke or Pepsi, Kendall Jenner. But it doesn't bother me. I embrace that about me. Again, go back to Lizzo. Lizzo embraces who she is, and she's encouraging us to embrace who we are, right? So embrace your organization, your brand, nuances. Raise your freak flag, fly it, whatever makes you, you, the brand, embrace that. And finally, can't say this enough. Stay woke, people. Stay woke. And I'm not just talking about the Childish Gambino song. For those of you young people, yeah, it's a great song. He's cool. Stay woke. You've got to keep it 100% real. I know the cool kids don't say keep it 100 anymore, but I'm going to say keep it 100. You have got to be authentic. You have got to be clear. You have got to be transparent. You have got to stay woke. You have to understand what is going on. I don't know if you guys have seen what's happening with the NBA in China. People are making comments and saying things that they know nothing about. LeBron James talking. Why? Of all people, he should really be woke. Apparently he's not. But you have to stay woke. You have to understand the environment before you jump into it around a particular topic. I will leave you with this. Anybody remember Nightmare on Elm Street? Who's the bad guy in Nightmare on Elm Street? Freddy Krueger with the stripe. What does Freddy Krueger do?
Kills people.
He kills people. But when does he kill people? In their sleep. That's the only way he can get to you, is if you're sleeping. Here to tell you folks, there are a lot of people in America, in our organizations, who are asleep. There are a lot of you who are working for managers who are asleep. What happens in the Freddy Krueger situation? Get killed, right? Stay woke. Stay woke within your organizations. Stay woke within your businesses. Stay true to you so that we can really, really not only usher and say we are doing social good, but we are socially good. Sound good? Thank you so much for your time.